Whoops. We have a bit of echo.
Yes.
We're here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine now.
Boom. Live on the TruMon show with PT. How are you?
I'm doing fine as always. Yes. Yes.
Great. Today we're going to keep going with our reasoning about my all different topics, like I say,
Yeah.
hypes and stuff.
Yes.
We're going to start directly today with a topic that got a lot of people's attention in the
Yes.
last few years. I could say, not only in the last few years, like it's always been a topic of interest, the shape of the earth.
Yes.
Because if we go by what we've been told, which we ignore here, because I don't think it should be a reference, but if we go by observation, we can realize certain things very easily with our own two eyes. I don't
Yes.
know everything about the earth and its shape and all that. To me, it's pretty much shapeless. Like the earth, the way I see it from my point of view, from my perspective, the earth is all that there is all that there is. I don't know if I'm right, but like you said, it comes with different realm, different
Yes.
dimension and stuff. So it could become very complex at one point to enter that topic. Also, like it can be very simple if we look around. Like
Right.
show me the curve. There's no curve.
Yes.
Nobody ever seen the curve of the earth. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. That. Yeah.
So
The thing.
PT, tell us more about
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I mean, the
geocentric
thing is
earth.
that for like obviously when we go around on Earth, we find that that it's mostly flat wherever we are. Like even when we travel in an airplane, like we see it's just rolling flat below us, right? And nobody's making any kind of adjustments for a curve, like anyway, no pilots, nobody, you know, for long distances, even 7,000 miles, 6,000 miles, nobody's making any kind of adjustments. So, and it's flat wherever we are, like, so, I mean, it's, and obviously water only sits in a flat object, like, a container, no water can stick on a ball. Like so that's very clear, so I
But
mean
they say often, PT, that the reality we live in is kind of inverted. Like everything is inverted. So they put us on a ball. Could we be inside a ball instead of being
nothing
on a
like that.
ball?
All of
Like
that is just craziness. I mean, it's I think the level plane, like planet means plane, actually it means plane. And the thing is that uh, going into all of these balls of different kinds, whether inverted or like outside, is just taking away from the point that we are part of a dimensions in the plane, different planes of existence. Okay, so we are on a plane of existence, which is Earth, which is a plane, and then there are other planes. But if you go to the ball, then there can't be other balls and things. So that creates a sort of a paradigm where you are trapped. Like ball is a more trapping concept, plane is a more liberating concept. There are higher planes, other planes of existence. That's a different, more liberating concept. And ball is a more trapping concept where you're just running, circling around for no rhyme or reason. Like, and which makes life, the sense of life, pretty meaningless. And that's why a lot of people um don't take life seriously enough, because they think, what is the point? Like, you're just going round and round here, then this is going round and round here. Seems to be no end to this round and round. Like, there is no point even. But if there's planes of existence and you can go to another plane of existence from this, then the whole picture is very different. The whole scenario, the whole scene is very different. Then, whole paradigm in your mental makeup or in your consciousness is very different as to who you are, what are you supposed to do. So it's much more psychological, all of these things. So that's why these paradigms, people have to understand that the plane concept is very important to understand, that you're on plane of existence and you can graduate to other levels of existence. Like, for example, levels of existence where there is much higher lifespan or no death even, things like that. Like right now we are in this plane of existence where there is life and death and all these kind of things. So,
yeah,
and a certain lifespan, so this is a particular plane of existence, and there are other planes of existences too, which is the fact, but that has to be hidden. And when you want to hide something, you create confusion. Okay, like ball, inverted, all of this kind of confusion has to be created for people to not figure out where they are. you know so Even there was a movie called Dark City, in which they showed like in the end they showed like a flat city,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and the people who were there in the city never knew where they were. The whole point was to not let the inhabitants know where they actually are. And once you don't know where you are and what is the whole your place in this whole universe, you get very confused. And when you get confused, you can't do the right actions, and you can't make use of the human life properly. That's the final point of all of
And
this.
so it
Yeah,
becomes, so like you say, there's
yeah,
different plane of existence, so it becomes
yeah,
very plausible that there is land that we are not aware of and bodies
yeah.
of water outside of this
In
place.
this plane also, even in this plane, obviously we can be part of little part of this plane. Okay, this plane can be much bigger, you would say, than what is seen. Like obviously, but once you come into the plane situation, you don't want to just jump from this part to another part. You would like to go to another plane of existence completely, you know, rather than do that. Yeah,
And it's probably
yeah,
built with some natural frontier, like to not be able to reach the other worlds if there is. Like I cannot
yeah,
just travel to Antarctica, would be like
yeah. I mean,
impossible for me now. Get
and
there
and
and
human life is not so long, anyways. It's maximum 100 years or something. Even if you travel and if you go on the other side,
yeah.
what's the point? Like, point is to care more about what happens to your actual vehicle when you leave this body, and where that can go, which plane of existence that can go to. That is much more of an important thing than just taking the physical body in any plane, in this physical plane somewhere, you know. So yeah,
Because nothing has changed really. The Earth's always been the Earth. It's just us. Like for me, 2014, I think I've realized the sun was moving in the sky.
yeah,
Like it was a big
yes,
news for me, but the sun was moving before. It's not
yes,
because oh I
yeah,
seen it that the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, my point is that on Earth, physical Earth, even if you go past Antarctica and go to another plane, another that thing, part of this plane, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean much. Just like going from, if you go from North America to South America, so what? I mean, finally, your lifespan will be same 100 years, and you know what you have to actually care about is the journey afterwards. When you leave this physical body, that's when the other planes of existence come into play more. So, and that's the knowledge which is being hidden by all this kind of confusion.
And
So
when you start to travel, it's very tiring also. Like some
yes,
people don't like to travel.
yes. But the point is like that there's going to be not much from that. Like even if you're able to go there, that is not going to solve anything. You know, solution will be like in trying to figure out where the spirit goes after leaving this body, and those planes of existences it can choose. That's much more of an important concept. Like, and in this confusion about this plane, all of that becomes people's attention. Like people's attention doesn't go on that. So that's what the trick is. you know so
So someone was asking me a question by email regarding the spirit thing, and she was asking me. I think it's a woman. She was asking me if there was a set number of spirit down on Earth, or if there's more spirit being created every day to embody the human
Spirits
body.
are not being created, they're just being moved. They're moving from different planes. So
Okay.
Earth is also a plane, so they can move to Earth and move out of Earth. you know just like there is a like airport. you know a lot of people come through an airport, and they come to the airport, and then that thing doesn't mean they're being created just for coming to the airport. They're just coming from somewhere, go to the airport, and then go somewhere else. They're passing through. So a lot of beings on Earth can just be passing through spirits,
Just
like
pass through.
passing through. Like, it's not necessarily that they are being created for this purpose. No. So there's a lot of movement of spirits amongst the planes.
Okay, so it's a movement of spirit.
Yeah.
Now, when you start opening your eyes, realize the sun, you realize a lot of stuff. And for my part, also, like I've never really seen it live, but I seen it on picture. It's those giant tree stump. Like there's must have been like giant trees on Earth or something. Like there's that
Yes.
idea that
Yes.
there's
Yes.
been giants giant trees that came after the geocentric Earth or flat Earth.
Yes,
Or
yes, 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 yes.
what
So
about
the
that?
thing is, yes, Earth will, in its lot of long, long, long time history, right, will not always be the same, right?
Yeah.
Changes will happen. There'll be sometimes giant people, giant trees, smaller people, smaller trees. There's all kinds of times on Earth, right? Like that. So, like people like discovered that for in the beginning, that's a shock for people that things can be different at some other time, different from this time. Okay, but things have been very, very different in all the different times on Earth, actually, quite a lot different. And uh, like that opens up a paradigm. Okay, then things change in time. Like, it's not just, it's always the same thing. And people have this illusion. It's an illusion that things, like, for example, right now, also, last 100 years, things have changed a lot on Earth from what they were 100 years ago,
Yes.
right? So in thousands of years, different times, in millions of years, things can change drastically of different kind of things. So that has been the case. But it's good for people to understand, yeah, things change and there were things like that before, and we have only remains of them, and things are different right now. So
And there's
yeah.
this idea also that there is the sun, but there is also the moon. But the moon would have been an old sun, that there would have been like two suns on Earth to produce those giant vegetation that there was there.
Uh,
Is that possible? Two
no,
sun?
the thing is that it's not like the. It's just the energy from the one sun can be different. The same one sun
Ah,
which is there right
okay.
now can be giving a different kind of energy than which it is giving now. You don't need two or that thing for that.
Okay. Okay.
The same one can be different in its output and an energy and frequency output than it is right now. That's all.
Yeah, because in mainstream also they say often that the sun goes through cycles of energy. So
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
it has
Obviously.
some burst and some.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, everything is like it has its frequency signature and energy signature changes in time.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Also, that's good for that. Uh, there's something also like when you start researching all kinds of stuff, like, you get onto the golden ratio and the flower of life and all kinds of sacred geometry stuff.
Yes. Yes.
What is this has to do with the reality of today, which is like also, is it something accurate? Is it just an
Yes.
illusion? Is
Yes.
it
Yes. Yes.
another thing to fool us, or is it
No, I mean, see, the thing is that everything has structure. Like in
okay?
nature, we see around, like everything has structure. And it has architecture. Like everything is architecture. Not just buildings. People think architecture is your home and your buildings and houses and stuff like that. Nature also, a tree is an architecture. Every flower has an
Yeah.
architecture. Everything has an architecture. Okay, so in all Earth, everything has some architecture. So, what is the architecture based on things, even at a very minute level? So that's where golden ratio comes in. That it is the basis for that architecture in nature. Okay, and that's a fact. That's just the architectural fact of what is around you in nature. Okay, so because things have to be based on something. Whenever something is made, any structure is made, it is based on some mathematical principle. Okay,
Yeah. And
so
often when we
so,
come to
so
build something, we reproduce the pattern of nature also.
yeah, yes, yes. So obviously, so the golden ratio is the mathematical, architectural constant in nature, which the nature is always going towards in different
Yeah.
things. So that's a fact, and obviously, it's nothing to do with the like illusion or anything. That is just a knowledge which they didn't teach in school, but came out anyways because people put their minds and researched it, and you know, and since a lot of times, and this was there in the past times as well in Vedic, that things, like the deities were represented with having a like holding a conch. Conch is has the golden ratio spiral. Even in
Yeah.
the spiral in the conch is golden ratio. So which was saying that everything is in nature is based on golden ratios. There were a lot of clues in the ancient texts and ancient things that everything is based on golden ratio here in nature. So and this knowledge came back again in modern times. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it didn't came back in a hidden way, like it's out in the open, it's in the mainstream. Me, I learned all that stuff through Nassim Aramain, a
Yes, that's
guy
Malamine
from
and other people,
Montreal.
like a lot of people. Yeah,
So
it came through that thing. A lot of people,
yeah,
so Dan Winter and a lot of people brought in this that thing, and obviously the thing is that this was the ancient knowledge. Okay, I mean these people did not make up this knowledge; they just brought it out and said like this is what it is, which the mainstream science is hiding from you. Okay. And then in things like crop circles, the sacred geometry shapes, golden ratio, and all of these things came and showed. So crop circles
yeah,
gave a stamp to the fact that this is what it is. So um, this was a reality. It was a clear thing about the structure of what we live in, like, and some people have interest in that. Some people want to know what is the structure of this existence in this nature, what we are that thing, and some people can do research in it and know the real science
exactly.
of things. So that's more the real science of things, not the fake science which is taught in schools, which is like giving you information without giving you any real knowledge, like like false information. So parading as knowledge. So that's
Okay, my next topic is something pretty big. It's been happening. It's new, also. It's can consider it new. Is social media. Okay, and it's a big addiction for many. If you look just at the word social, you sew a shawl. A shawl is to catch fish. So,
yeah,
you sew a shawl with the media to catch the
yeah,
fish, and it's working good. So,
yeah.
what is this big phenomena of like the propaganda of social media, and everybody get cut into it,
Okay.
get cut in the
The word
net.
thing like the word like social already existed before society. Okay, society and
Yeah,
people being
society.
social
Yeah,
society, people interacting with each other, which is another term for different human beings in groups interacting with each other, right? Like different human beings interacting with each other. Now they make up rules and laws, and that we will function by this standard. They create some basic sort of thing which is called social engineering. Like you create this. We will. This is how we will do our affairs. Like in tribes they had their own rules. In tribal people there was a tribe, and then they had their own rules how they will function on a day-to-day basis in respect to each other, right? Now the media thing, now internet came, right, within society. Okay, society was already there. Now internet came. Now internet made things faster and more. So earlier, if you lived in a village, okay, you would just talk, maybe deal with the other people in the village. Okay,
yeah,
10, 20 people, that will be your scope of your dealings, right? Okay, and 30, 40, 50, 100, whatever, those people in that village, right? Now, like, internet brought in that you can deal with other people somewhere else, in other villages or other parts of the world completely. First came, like trains, buses, and things like that, and planes, which made you deal with other villages and stuff locally and stuff like that. So as technology increased, finally came to internet. Now the interaction time with others decreased quite quickly, so that you could actually get in touch with different beings in different parts of the world immediately, instantly. Okay. Now that opens up your social thing a whole lot, right? For some beings just dealing with from local village level, then to local city, maybe local state level, local country level, are dealing with everybody everywhere, sort of thing. Okay. Now, this opening up is a good thing for beings who can handle it, and it's a very problematic thing for beings who are not psychologically ready for this
okay,
kind of thing. Okay, because if you're not psychologically ready for this opening up, you know it can create so much pressure, tension, all kinds of things. You will just get bombarded with this, and you will not be able to cope with it. you know but the thing in this world is that this was given to everybody. There was no that thing, you know qualification required. Like, for everything they ask for qualification, isn't it? When you do a job or anything, they want you
yeah,
to be qualified for that job or something like that. But for this, they made it such that the beings which are controlling here, like, they made it such that whether you qualify or disqualify, don't qualify, you will have this. which will lead to a lot of problems,
Distress, yeah.
distress, anguish, and all kinds of things. And that's why we are seeing what we are seeing, doing. So it's not, it's a tool, but tool only for the qualified. Yes. Obviously, like for example, like even if I'm doing this talk with you and it reaches different people, right? It is part of social media only, like Jim said. So something positive can come out of it if used properly, but it can be used negatively too, and we have seen a lot of negative uses of it because either people don't have the sense, or people have negative agendas, or there are many ways. You know what I'm saying? So, but it is very instantaneous and it's very powerful, and it is so it can be used as a tool for learning, for example, or a tool for uh, like destroying the self, like So it goes works both ways, and that's why there should have been actually uh, regulations in a more sane system as to how this will be used, you know, and whether beings would qualify only use it in that kind of way, like like that. But this free opening of it was, and even from the creators of it knew that this will not work well for everyone, and there will be a lot of problems. Those could be foreseen, but they still go ahead with it because finally, the whole system right now does not care about evolution of beings. It doesn't care that the beings go up. It doesn't mind if the beings go down from wherever they are. So that's the basic problem, you know. And the social media just is a part of that overall
Yeah.
agenda. Yeah,
The more you hurt yourself, the more the system will love you.
yeah,
So
yes.
basically, that's what it is. That's why I say always, the more you hurt yourself, the more they will love you.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So,
that,
so social media again was a tool. Like every technology is brings that thing, but qualification is very necessary. You know, I mean, even if there is a technology like fighter planes or something like that, or planes, do they let everyone pilot it? Do they let anybody to go and pilot it? No, they won't.
no,
Right? But this everybody can. Ye-
and
Yeah. So
and
there's
it's
no training. There's no training. There's no qualification. There's nothing. You know,
and
which
you
is
find them very young also with those
yeah,
devices.
yeah, yeah. So obviously, because there is no such thing like which with technology always should be. Only those who are trained or capable or qualified to do that should use it. You know. So
So someone can ask also, how do we reach those qualifications? Is it a matter of age, of maturity, of
work,
centering, of
centering,
meditation?
centering work, do the psychological work, do the centering, do that thing, do the grounding. Do you know what I'm saying? Make yourself to a point where you will not harm yourself in that thing. For example, like just like when you are small and you have a small like circle of friends, right? And some people are weak enough, like if they go into bad company, like some other person does something negative in that friend circle, then they also start doing it because their friend does so, right? They don't have the maturity to know that they shouldn't have to do it just because their friend is doing it, right? So on a small level, when you're very young, this starts like that, right? So but when you come into the world of social media, then you can find millions of such things, not just one, millions and millions of such things. To not get affected then requires much more psychological sorting, right? Than just not to do it when with just with one friend circle, or when you have 5, 10 friends and things like that. So so
Yeah.
it's a much bigger circle. So you're expanding your circle without expanding your consciousness or your psychology, like, properly. So 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 that's what the problem is, basically. So which is called bad company, getting affected by negative things. But that way, if you go online, there are millions and millions of negative things. You know what I'm saying? And things which can push you in the wrong direction and wrong way. And you know, so to have the discernment, all of that, you have to work. You have to work on yourself. very, you know, just like
And
you
I,
train to be a soldier, you know, you you train, you discipline yourself properly to be a soldier or anything, or even a pilot or anything. Everything requires that kind of training, and that's what the whole point of meditation and all these things is, centered meditation and all of that, people should get into, and
and
rather than jumping into this.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's also one major thing that the people of this world do not realize is arming themselves in a way that wasting your time is arming yourself. And often you will find yourself
Yeah.
on those sites just wasting time. Like even me, sometimes I realize, what the heck am I looking at here? I
Yes.
just keep the phone on the side and I get so fed up at times
Yeah, yes,
because I
because
know I am wasting my time.
and it's lack of discernment, you know it's lack of discernment. So people used to waste that time with friends and stuff before.
Okay. Yeah.
Now the same time is wasted on this, right? Like, it's the same time. But like, the point is, there was no discernment then, and there's no discernment now. So the lack of discernment is applicable in both cases. Do you know what I'm saying? That discernment has to come first, which can only come by when you work on yourself, like through centering meditation and techniques like that, you know, which you work on yourself, and then you will understand this is not worth paying attention to. What is worth paying attention to, what is not worth paying attention to, because you have limited amount of time on earth and limited amount of attention. Okay, and you understand all of these things, and that's the whole point, and that's why a lot of people these days decide to go off internet for long periods of time, so that they can actually, you know what I'm saying, like, work on themselves in that way, and become ones who are logical enough to understand that they're not fit right now to use that, and then they, you know work towards getting to that state, first.
Yeah,
So,
because
which is a
I
good thing.
think, yeah, I
Yeah.
think social media is probably one of the biggest trap for beings to waste their time. It's crazy, the phones and the social media.
Yeah, I mean, a same tool which was for learning can become a trapping thing too, you
Yeah,
know so it is the same thing. It's, again, it depends on what is your actual agenda. Like, do you really want to evolve? Do you want to work on yourself? Do you want to raise yourself? If you want to raise yourself, then it's different. But if you just want to waste time, then it's different. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on what do you really actually want, and for that you have to decide within yourself first, what do you want. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to make that decision as to what are you trying to achieve with your life here on earth, that limited time here on earth. So
and I
that's,
think,
yeah,
like, by designs also, it's made to arise some emotions in us that are not very good, like jealousy, envy, and
all kinds of
stuff like
things.
that.
All kinds of, because that means there's not enough psychological sorting, right? That's what it means.
Okay,
Yeah. So that's all. Like, that's why it's a dangerous thing. You know what I'm
it
saying?
is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
So it's a very dangerous thing, but such labels are not put on this. With cigarette, you will have this: cigarette smoking is injurious to health, and on a cigarette packet that is written, you know, and like, even an alcohol bottle, something is written, but not on this. Okay, okay, so
And
that's, yeah,
there's a
some more.
saying also, PT, that like when you share your stuff and your tragedies and stuff that happen in your life on social media, 80% don't care and 20% are glad it happened to you. So you do that just for what exactly?
Yeah,
To
no, I mean,
attract
that's like
attention? To
it's a
like,
it's a self indulgence. You want to indulge yourself, in that. Do you know what I'm saying? All of that, like, do you know what I'm saying? Self indulgence happens in a lot of ways. That happens in a negative way, positive, all kinds of ways you can do that kind of self indulgence. But there's no point to any of that.
self-indulgence. Yeah.
There is no other point to any of that. Like, the point was learning actual things which will actually raise you. Okay, like, internet you can use for finding out the truth and facts about some things of the world existence, this kind of thing. What do I need to learn to evolve myself? Okay, if that is your that thing, then only you'll go on to certain things. You'll think. If you're there for entertainment and just wasting time, then you'll find certain kind of things. If you're there to do whatever is your internal thing, like, you just want to, like, be like, like, be seen by people and different kind of things, in different kind of ways, then you'll do those kind of things. You know, put that kind
because
of thing.
you can
Yeah,
find yourself also becoming a user. Like
yeah,
they say, you are using the internet just like you use drugs, like hard drugs. That's a word that's pretty much used
yeah.
only
But
for if you are an addict. They say
yeah, but
you're
yeah,
using.
but that's a negative use. Another use can be you try and find some truth and start applying it into your life, which you won't have learned if there was no internet. Like, you won't have any chance to learn. So so finally it comes down to what you actually want, like James said. So it is a tool, and which can be used very negatively or very positively.
Like a
That's
hammer.
yeah, that's all. Like, so that's the whole thing. And but all these education, there should be education about everything, and there's just lack of
Yeah.
education in everything. That's all. Like,
Wow.
the education stops. I said it starts at the school level, and the very when you're 4 or 5 years old to that, like, and the education is not there, and this is the final result. Lack of education is the whole crux of the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So, large up, PT, again for
Yeah,
your full presence and power here on the
yeah,
Truman Show. And I'll see you again next Thursday for the follow up. We're going to go with the religious books, the reading books and magazine. It's everywhere. And
yeah,
also the books. Books is an interesting word because you also go catch fish with a hook. You know,
yeah,
a hook. So then you be hooked on books anyway.
yeah,
So, but again, it can be a useful thing, like
yeah,
something that's
yeah.
very damaging. Exactly. Car analysis, electric cars, the weather manipulation, whether it's
Okay,
some
yeah,
kind of stuff in the air or all
okay,
kinds of. So maybe three or four more, and we should be able to
okay.
go
So
through all the topics that I have here.
next Thursday then.
Yes, I'll be here. See ya.